Record.
Thank you. Good morning. Today is Tuesday, February 9th. The time is 9:01. The board is in session to conduct its open business meeting. All commissioners are present. Would you introduce yourself?
Trent Triple, Clerk's Office.
Beth Mon, Treasurer.
Elizabeth Duncan, Communications.
Tim Klein, Treasurer's Office.
Bessie Porter, HR.
Bob Perkins, Ada County Procurement.
Luke Calusa, IT.
Heather McCarthy, Prosecutor's Office.
Okay. Just a reminder on WebEx, please mute your microphones when you're not speaking. Okay. Again, all commissioners are with us. Madam Clerk, are there any changes to the agenda?
No, they're not.
Good. We're going to open our meeting today with an employee recognition. I will ask Commissioner Kenyon to read the synopsis into the record.
Of course. Is Jake here? I don't see Jake online. Is he out in the room?
Good morning, Commissioner. I do not see him yet. I've been communicating with him, but he doesn't appear to be online yet.
Elizabeth, would you mind seeing if he's out, waiting out there?
Who is it? I'm looking
It's Jake, correct? Yeah. It's his recognition, so I hate to go ahead if he's not here to listen to it.
No,
No?
no Jake's.
Oh, all right. Well, we'll go ahead.
Chair, I would move to table that until Jake shows up.
Yeah, what do you think, Tony?
He just texted me and said he's on YouTube, so he's watching.
Oh, okay, excellent. Okay, hey, Jake, out there in YouTube land. Congratulations on 20 years of service to Ada County. Jake started working for the Public Defender's Office on January 23rd, 2001. He was hired as a legal assistant and worked in an office, probably shared, at the Eagles Building in downtown Boise, when the Public Defender's Office had maybe 2 or 3 legal assistants total, and maybe 10 or 12 attorneys. He quickly moved up to become a felony level legal assistant and was Tony's legal assistant at the felony level for a long time. Jake has a natural aptitude for the law, and while he was not technically a paralegal, he performed his job duties like one. He is quite accomplished at legal research and writing, and there was more than one of my legal briefs over the years that looked a lot different after he got through with it. He eventually became the office administrator and is now the finance and budget officer. He has helped me, and this is like, Tony, you should be reading this. He's helped Tony to manage the budget and the indigent defense grants that we receive from the state. And I'm told by the auditor's office that Jake is not only a pleasure to work with, but that his work product is excellent. So thank you, Jake, for your dedication and service. The board really appreciates it. And I'm sure Tony has a few words he'd like to say.
Would you like to say a few words, Tony?
Chairman, Commissioners, thank you for the opportunity. I would like to say a few words. I've been working with Jake now for over 20 years, and he's just grown tremendously in our office and in the role. He started out as a legal assistant when we were over in the Eagles building, and he's just grown into a tremendous asset for me. I couldn't do the job without him. Frankly, he does a tremendous amount of work, not only related to the budget, but also the annual report that we have to prepare, which is a lot of work to the Public Defense Commission. The indigent defense grant application process, which is also a tremendous amount of work. Everything that he does, he helps us get reimbursed from the capital roster or the Capital Defense Fund. Everything he does is just critical to our office and our operation, and couldn't do the job without him. And he's not only a colleague, but he's a friend. And so I just want to thank him for his years of service to our office and to me.
Thank you, Jake. The board appreciates your long service and your good service to the citizens of Ada County. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jake.
Thank you, Jake.
We have the honor of recognizing the Treasurer's Office this morning as well with a tremendous accomplishment. I'll ask Commissioner Davidson to read the letter in the record.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Elizabeth Mon, Treasurer, and Tim Klein Chief Deputy Treasurer with Ada County, Idaho, have earned their Certified Public Funds Investment Manager certification from the Association of Public Treasurers of the United States and Canada. The nationally recognized Certified Public Funds Investment Manager certification program is designed to provide Treasury professionals with the confidence and knowledge to better manage investments on behalf of their municipalities. Ms. Mon and Mr. Klein participated in a 6-hour certification training and successfully passed a 70-question exam on the following training objectives components: identifying and understanding investment options, how and where to buy investments, establishing internal controls and developing procedures, identifying and mitigating risks in the portfolio, quantifying and reporting safety measures, understanding liquidity needs and yield calculations, managing and forecasting investments, and implementing and monitoring strategy. Both Ms. Mon and Mr. Klein scored near the top of the class on the exam. The CPFIM is awarded to approximately 125 individuals annually. In order to maintain the certification, recipients must demonstrate continued investment training through a reapplication process every 5 years. APT US&C is a national organization formed in 1967. It was founded to support public treasury managers, financial officers, and private sector representatives with quality treasury management education and training, professional certifications, and peer networking opportunities to strengthen their commitment to public service. Additional information on APT US&C can be found at www.aptusc.org.
Thank you, Commissioner Davidson. Treasurer Mon, would you like to say a few words?
I'm sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair, Commissioner Davidson, Commissioner Kenyon. We're really proud to have not one, but now 2 of us to earn this certification. Is it highlighted in the letter? It's focusing on internal controls, investment options. It's really important for us to stay current on best practices and to implement those practices as we are stewards of public funds. So we're really grateful, proud of this honor. And it demonstrates our commitment to good stewardship, and we look forward to continuing on this path.
Thank you, Treasurer. We're proud that we were able to get this national recognition. Was that 70-question exam a tough one?
Yes and no. I think if you didn't have experience in the field, it would be very challenging.
Okay. All right. Well, great. Well, congratulations. From the board, would you like to say anything, Commissioner Kenyon?
Sure, I just want to note that this is from a national organization, the Association of Public Treasurers of the United States and Canada. So quite prestigious. And I just want to know, are you in competition with Bob Perkins for getting more initials after your name than him? We're going to have to add him up and see who's winning. They're coming close, Bob. Better go out and get something else.
Well, you have to get a
Good
bigger
job.
card to put all these certifications.
Excellent
All right.
work. Thank
Well,
you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate your hard work and your national recognition. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations to you. Okay.
Make room up here.
We're on unfinished business, final ranking and award recommendations for RFP 2125, the County Recorder's Office Imaging Project. May I get a motion to remove the unfinished business from the table?
Yes, Chair, I'll move to remove the unfinished business from the table for consideration.
We have a second to the motion?
Mr. Chair, I'll second.
Okay, you've heard the motion. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 We have procurement with us for the award recommendation on bid 21022.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Before you this morning, we have the final ranking and award recommendation for RFP 21025, the Ada County Recorder's Office Imaging Project 2021. And the evaluation committee has evaluated these proposals and would like to submit an award recommendation letter for your consideration. And if you'd like, I can go ahead and just read it into the record for you.
Please.
Okay. dated February 9th, 2021, to the Board of Ada County Commissioners from Ada County Procurement. Regarding RFP 21025, dear members of the board, the Evaluation Committee has evaluated the responses for RFP 21025. A final ranking of qualified candidates was determined by evaluation scoring. The final rankings in order of evaluation scoring are as follows. Number 1, U.S. Imaging with a score of 93.50. Number 2, Integra Paperless Business Solutions with a score of 85.26. Number 3, Paperless Digital Solutions with a score of 54.28. It is the recommendation of the evaluation group to award the contract for RFP 21025 to U.S. Imaging as the number 1 ranked proposer. Sincerely, Bob Perkins, CPPO, CPPB, NIGP, CP.
I told you, it's a contest.
Oh, okay. All right, can I get a motion for bid number 21022?
Mr. Chair, I move to accept the final rankings for request for proposal 21025, Ada County Recorder's Office Imaging Project 2021, and accept the evaluation committee's recommendation of award.
Do I have a second?
Have a second, that goes to U.S. Imaging with a score of 93.50.
That's correct.
Do we have any discussion on the motion? No discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thanks,
Thank
Commissioners.
you, thank you. We now are going into resolutions. I'm going to open the public hearing on resolution number 2602. Is there anyone here who would like to provide testimony?
Mr. Chairman, I can provide a little commentary on this
Okay.
particular resolution. This is for the sale of personal property that the county no longer needs. It was once listed on our Ada County Marketplace, and that's an opportunity for offices and departments to take a look at it should they need it. We didn't have any takers, so it's ready to go to auction.
Okay. Do we have any other testimony on the resolution? I'm going to now close the public hearing. Is there discussion from the board?
Do you have a date for the auction?
We do, it's coming up, I don't have it right in front of me here, Commissioner Davidson, but it is coming soon. It will be at Music Auction. They're gonna come up and pick up our stuff at our warehouse and then put it out on their website for auction.
This would look like a pickup truck and a kind of a golf cart. How would you describe that vehicle?
Are you looking at the exhibit A for, which one? I'm seeing a lot of.
I looked at it previously online, but it looked like a pickup truck and a.
Yes, that's for our operations. That's a separate auction. It's
Okay.
upcoming here soon. This is primarily, here's the list of items that we have. Office furniture, office equipment, those sorts of things for this auction.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there further discussion from the board?
No, I'm ready to go.
I'll entertain a motion on the resolution.
Sure, Mr. Chair, Commissioner Beck, Chair. I move to approve resolution number 2602 as listed on the agenda.
Is there a second to the motion?
I will second.
Motion seconded. All in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Motion carries.
All right, thanks, Commissioners.
We now have
Bob.
before,
You bet, thanks.
thanks Bob.
You betcha.
We now have before us resolution number 2603, resolution authorizing the receipt of out-of-county waste from Gem County. I'm going to open the public hearing on resolution number 2603. Is there anyone who would like to provide testimony? I guess no one wants to provide testimony. I'm going to close the public hearing. Is there discussion from the board? I'll say that's that grandstand, old grandstand at is it Emmett High School.
Yeah, Jim County, yeah.
Yeah, it's from Gem County. They want a lot of wood that they can't dispose in their county because of the lead. And we can in our county because ours is lined. That's what it's about. And that's why we've agreed to cooperate with our sister county or brother county, whatever you want to call it.
And they're paying full fees.
And they're paying full fees. They're paying the same as If anybody from Ada County hauls them up there. So, I'm going to close the public hearing. Is there any discussion from the board?
No, sir.
I'll entertain a motion on the resolution.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve resolution number 2603 as listed on the agenda.
I will second that.
Been moved and seconded. Is there discussion from the board?
Mr. Chair, I'm gonna vote in favor because I think, we have a great landfill and I think it's important to, help out our fellow counties there who, don't have all the same amenities that we do.
And you've driven one of the big cats out there. So you know where-
It's quite a facility.
Is there further discussion from the board on the motion? If not, all in favor of the motion signify by, wait a minute, do we get a second? I forgot. Okay, all in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Close public hearing. We're moving on now to licenses. We have a license application for Chow Public Market and Eatery on 7609 West Overland Road, Suite 130, Boise Beer and Wine. I'll entertain a motion.
Yes, Chair Beck, I move to ratify and approve the licenses listed on the agenda and authorize the chair to sign the documents on behalf of the board.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Is there discussion from the commission? No discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Motion carries. Mr. McGrain, he's not here. I guess you're taking his place?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I appreciate it. From the clerk's office, we just have a few things that we would like to bring before the board. One is a thank you for awarding the U.S. Imaging contract. Last year, that was a heavy lift. Previous commission had agreed to split that up into bite-sized segments. This is the first segment of that, so it'll be one of 4 or 5 segments that we do over the coming years. You'll be seeing that in our budget application this coming year as well to continue that for the next year. It's going to help us finish digitizing the rest of our records for the county so that the public can access them very easily online. So we appreciate that very much.
Okay.
The second thing is we have a change request that is going through legal right now for the Ada Central contract for our HRIS system. We have had to go back to the contractor and ask them for some additional programming. It's going to be around $27,000 that we'll be asking the board to come out of contingency so that we can complete this project. So I just want to give you a heads up on that. I think Steve Rutherford might have been giving you some of that information the last couple of days. So those are the things that are on our minds right now. We're plugging forward with hopefully the 3rd payroll this week and not as many hiccups as we had the last 2 payrolls. So we're looking forward to putting that project to bed here shortly. That's all I have, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And you're not gonna have any hiccups with payroll then?
Well, I can't promise no hiccups with payroll, but we will keep getting to the point where we will not have any more hiccups.
Well, that's important to everybody.
It is. We want everyone to get paid.
Okay, is there any discussion, any questions from the board?
No, sir.
Any questions from the board?
No.
Okay, we're gonna go to the claims journal. I would like to actually ask for unanimous consent that we pull out the $415,737.91 for further discussion and that we put it back on the agenda on Thursday. Is there objection?
Nope.
No objection.
Hearing no objection, we will do that. I would furthermore ask that our lawyers prepare and present to us further discussion on, I have two contracts I'm curious about. If our lawyers could prepare that for us. The one is on donor by design, and the other one is on the Our Path home. If you could prepare a discussion on that for us when we meet.
Mr. Chair, I move to table the coroner's facility lease payment in the amount of $415,737.91 to February 11th, 2021 legal staff meeting and authorize payment of the remaining claims on the Claims Journal dated February 5th, 2021.
Okay. Do we have a second motion?
Chair, I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion from the commission? Hearing none, all in favor signify say by aye.
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 Aye. We have the claim journal passed. Personnel actions. We have career progression, 4 conditional pay increases, 1 introductory period pay increase, 2 promotions, and 1 transfer. Do we have a motion?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I move to approve the personnel actions as listed on the agenda and that the summary sheet remain on the file in the Commissioner's office.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Is there discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, moving right along. Assessor's office. Bob's there. What do you have for
Morning,
us,
Mr. Chairman.
Assessor?
Commissioners. Well, I'm glad that you're sitting down because I'm going to report some news that is good news. It's been 4 months since we've been able to be hopeful about what's going on out with motor vehicles, but I just want to give a brief report and update of where we are with that. Things really are improving. Last week, we were caught up with our back office operations. We were seriously behind on those. We got help from the transportation department. All the mail is been processed. The internet, that's working on a daily basis. So that's just really good. We do have dealer title work. We're behind on that, but that is, we're digging our way out with that with the help of ITD. And dealer titles, that's going to be, we're going to offload that to the transportation department probably in March. And that is a function that has always been problematic for us. We're going to do a 12-month pilot to see how that works. If it works well for both parties, we will continue and completely get out of the dealer title work. Otherwise, we might take that back. But for the next 12 months, starting probably in March, ITD will be doing the dealer title work. The lines, we're managing those a lot better. We've talked about that. We're getting people, when there are lines, we're getting people in their cars where it's just a lot more comfortable, shorter wait times. We've got 20-minute wait times indoors. Those were consistently 30 minutes for the last 4 months. Those are down to 20 minutes. Outside wait time has really been improving at Franklin and at Shinden. Last week, Meridian, we did have some problems there. I haven't had a chance to check into that. We did have wait times that did get as high as 2 hours, but we're checking into that. Overall, I'm really pleased with where we are with that. Tuesday, we're going to open STAR up again. That's going to be by appointment only. I talked to the assessor over in Gem County. She's really excited about that. When we closed STAR temporarily, pushed a lot of people over to Gem County. And just last, I want to just end up by telling you the fee that you approved for the admin fee going from $285 to $375, that will go in effect April. The renewals for March have been sent out, so the earliest that can be printed on the renewal notice will be in April, but that should be sufficient for us for our purposes. As of January, the revenue was only 70% of expenses, so things were looking pretty glib. We do have, is that the backroom office operations are caught up. There'll be more deposits there, so that will take up some of the slack. But I think it was just really important that we got that increase in the admin fee. So one last thing I would add, as we put the title work, DO title work over to ITD, that's going to free up 4 clerks of hours. So we'll be able to redeploy those assets to other areas that are needed. So, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, that's what is going on in the assessor's office. Again, things look hopeful in the DMV areas. It looked very bleak for October, November, December, and January as we approach the the end of the month. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Do we have any questions for the assessor from the commission? Any questions?
No.
Any questions? Is the improvement because the state is improving their computer system that they've rolled out?
Mr. Chairman, yes, that's helping somewhat. The more proximate cause has been of all the delays has been the additional information that's required to be input into the system. With a 502, that's the title for a new car. Those we were just a couple of key punching entries, but now we have to put all of the information on that form in there. So that's probably tripled or even quadrupled the amount of time that's necessary to key punch those. And the new sales has just been explosive in Ada County for the last few months. But in answer to your question, yes, the improvements are better, but the real cause of the delays at this point in time now are just all of the additional information that has to be entered.
Okay. All right.
Sorry for the long answer.
Well, thank you, Bob. Appreciate the update. And moving right along. Thank you much. Moving right along, we have, let me see here. Treasurer's office up next. Give us your monthly investment report.
Morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners.
Morning.
Yeah, I have the January portfolio summary report here. No real significant changes. We did have a big increase in our balance. If you looked at last month's and compared it to this month's, it's gone up quite a bit. It's a result of the tax collections have now been dispersed, and so the county, got their share of that, and so we see a big increase in the book value from last month. One of the things I did want to point out this month was since we do balance every day using our investment software, we balance to the bank, and we also compare and make sure we balance to the clerk's office in our accounting department there. I noted in here, as I do each month, if we don't balance, I'll indicate why that is. And normally, I have room there to just put an explanation for a simple thing. Sometimes it's because of the end of the month, we have a crossover item. It's usually no big deal. This month, I put on there various items, see backup. So I also include at the end of each report any backup that shows any discrepancies. And there was a small list of them, and I just wanted to make sure that everyone understood why that was. And it's primarily because of the issues we've had with Ada Central. We have the new system, and we have FAB. And since we balanced to FAB, and the new system isn't yet able to communicate with FAB and put all the information in, we're showing these as reconciling items. So once that situation is resolved, we'll be back in balance with them again. But I just wanted to point that out because that's kind of unusual to see that many items on there.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I know they're working very hard on that, and as Trent said, hopefully it'll be pretty soon, and we'll. But I'm sure we're actually in balance. We're just showing these carrying items, these reconciling items on the back sheet to show where we are off with them.
Sure. Well, I appreciate that. Do we have any questions from the board?
I do not.
Okay. Well, thank you. Appreciate the update.
You're welcome. I'm also going to stay here for a moment since the Treasurer's Office has a waiver of late charge and interest. We've looked into that. The Treasurer's Office has looked into that, and we are recommending that the board approve the waiver of late charge and interest on this particular parcel.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
And this was because we just don't have the staff with the volume that's coming through right now. Yeah.
That's right, yeah.
All right, I'll move then to approve the waiver of the late charges and interest for the 2020 property roll as listed on the agenda. Authorize the chair to sign the documents on behalf of the board.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Do we have any discussion from the board? I mean, that's a large amount. Do we have any discussion from the board? Not all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, and I'll just note for the record, the late charge that's waived is $23.57 and the interest is $8.69.
Exactly. Thank you for that.
You bet.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Tim. Can I
Thank
have
you,
the hard
Commissioners.
copy? I didn't get one this time.
Sure.
Perfect, thank you.
Next up, we have Human Resources, authorization for ExamWorks Clinical Solutions for Medicare secondary payer recovery cases. And now we have Cassie with us.
Thank you, Chairman, Commissioners. What this is Medicare has sent a payment request to us for a work comp claimant that had a claim with us 10 years ago. The Medicare believes that some follow-up treatment may be associated to that claim, and we disagree. We feel it is not associated to the claim. What is before you is essentially a letter that gives the third-party administrator permission to file an appeal on Ada County's behalf.
Okay. Is there discussion from the board?
I've read the letter and I'm ready to make a motion if Commissioner Davidson is.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go ahead and move to authorize the chair to sign the authorization for the ExamWorks Clinical Solutions for Medicare secondary payer recovery cases on behalf of the board.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Is there further discussion from the board? If not,
Cases take a long time, right? 10
Yeah.
years?
isn't there a statute of limitations somewhere in all of them?
Work comp is lifetime
Lifetime.
benefit.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, I mean, for liability, I guess not. Okay, well, you've heard the motion. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Approval of minutes from 1/13/12. I suppose everybody's had a chance to look at it. May I have a motion?
Mr.
On
Chair?
minutes. Yes.
I move to approve the minutes as identified on the agenda and authorize the chair to sign the documents on behalf of the board.
I'll second that.
Is there discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 We have the minutes approved. Grants. And now we have grant number 2103, Recreation Boating Safety Grant Application to United States Coast Guard and Idaho Department of Parks and Recreation for the purchase of a custom weld jet boat. County match 18,000, grant period 10/1/20 through 9/30/21.
Yes, Chair, I believe this is a boat that we use up at Lucky Peak for safety and security. We have, this is through the Sheriff's Department, and we have a patrol officer up there. And I believe this was, the match is in the budget and has been approved. So I'll make a motion if we're ready.
May I have a motion?
I move to approve grant number 2103-A and authorize the completion and online submission of the grant.
May I have a second to the motion?
Second.
Is there discussion on the motion?
I guess I'm curious about the United States Coast Guard. Is the money coming from them or is that going, it says application to United States Coast Guard?
It's a grant, and so they'll pay for part of it and then we match it. So
And
they
that's
would
for-
pay 37,000, the grant would be for 37,872, and then our match would be 18,936.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
That's a pretty good deal for a custom jet boat.
Yeah.
And you'll get a ride on it too this
Maybe
spring.
well, yeah, Commissioner Davidson had a ride on a big Caterpillar, maybe we can get a ride on the jet boat too.
You can.
Okay.
I mean, I'm guessing the point of a jet boat, did you say Lucky Peak? Is
Yeah.
that just to get to
They can go into the
incidents
shallows,
faster?
in the shallows and whatnot, yeah.
It's for patrol purposes, is
Yes,
it not?
yeah, and they're durable, they last a long time.
Okay, you've heard the motion, it's been seconded, all in favor of the motion on grant 2103A, signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries. Weed and pest control.
Yes, Chair, I move to approve the notices of lien for weed and pests as listed on the agenda and authorize the chair to sign documents on behalf of the board.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Is there discussion from the board? Hearing no discussion, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Well, Expo Idaho is here. Okay, Bob?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, how are you?
Good, good.
Oh, you're all dressed up today, what's going on?
Got a fair board meeting. How are you?
Good, how are you?
It's good. We have two events here. The gymnastics show is one that is come on board. They found a slot in February that we didn't have any events, and so they've come forward and put a proposal for us to do a contract with them. They've sent their information to the Central District Health. This is the same group that operated when there was a gathering of 10, so they are very capable of doing this. They've got their information in there, and they'll get back. The autocross, they do this out in the west parking lot. It's a time trial event through the cones. I think you've seen them out there riding around. That's what that event is, and that's in April. So those are two events we have. There's more probably going to be coming as we go forward.
Okay, well, good.
Yep.
How do you feel your progress is with the Central District Health for allowing more events and so forth?
I think when they opened it up for 50, that helped a lot, and working with them on a regular basis, they've been very cordial and responsive to everything that we need. We sent them a couple of things about some things that are gatherings that are going to get larger, and they said we're not quite ready to take on those yet, but what you're doing is really in support of what we feel we should be doing is to get open.
Well, great, thank you, Bob. Is there any questions of Bob?
Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
So the raising from 10 to 50, is that, I'm assuming a lot of our exhibitors are pretty excited about that.
Yes, they are.
It's-
Yep. We've got the Home and
applications.
Garden Show and the Sportsman Show.
RV show.
Those people are working on right now. The Sportsman Show is a little bit tougher because some of those people got to come from out of town, and some of them come. You know, if you're from Canada to try and sell a fishing trip, you can't get across the border. So they're having a little bit of trouble getting some vendors for the different shows, but they're engaged. You know, we're ready to sit there and provide as much space as they need to spread it out so that we can get some of these shows going, because I think the mental health on this whole deal is going to be very helpful for people just to be able to get out and be around other people in a safe environment, of course.
Great, so it's positive developments, we're moving in the right direction.
Seems to be, Commissioner, yes, yep. And thank you all for your help, appreciate it.
Well, excellent, thank you. May I have a motion? Is there any more discussion on the interim events?
I think so. Thanks, Bob.
You
May I
betcha.
have a motion?
I'll go ahead and move to approve the two interim event agreements as listed on the agenda and authorize the chair to sign documents on behalf of the board.
Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Thank you. Is there further discussion from the board? If not, all in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you very much.
Bob, I'll try to
You get axed.
circle back with you before the next Central District Health.
Okay, thank you very much.
You get-
Tonight?
You get axed tonight.
Okay.
You can call me if you need me.
Thank you very much again, appreciate it.
Next, we have 5 agreements. Is there discussion regarding any of the agreements on today's agenda?
I had some, Mr. Chair, on the memorandum of understanding between Ada County Sheriff and Trial Court Administration. Would now be time to offer amendments to that, or is that already going too far?
That is about the security, is it not?
Yes.
It's the MOU.
My guess is if we want to amend that, we would have to delay that particular one and then work with legal on an amendment. I would think it would be time at this meeting to offer. Am I right, Counselor?
You're right, thank you, Chair. I would also offer that neither the Supreme Court's already signed it, and that the trial court administrator and the sheriff's office has all reviewed it and is comfortable with the terms that are inside the contract.
I've read it and I'm ready to approve it.
I read it. I had a couple suggestions, and maybe if it's the will of the board to table it. I did notice that there was language in there that it can be amended at the consent of all the parties at any time. Is that correct?
Yes, if all the parties consent to it.
Okay. It was just a couple minor things, but was there?
Sorry, Mr. Chair, Commissioner Davidson, that is true, that you can amend it at any time. In addition, this likely will be, kind of ripe again for discussion and amendment, because the Sheriff's Office and TCA will be coming forward in their budget presentation to kind of continue down the maturation course of the sheriff taking this over from the marshals.
Mr. Chair, I noticed one section in there said that the sheriff's deputies would not be operating the wanding, what do we call it, the magnometers. I thought it might be good to have an exception to that they should be able to do that in case of employee shortage, just for short term. If a lot of the security is out sick or something, somebody's on lunch break, we should have the deputies be able to step in to do that just on a short-term basis. And I would like to see something in there that says that the deputies, one priority is to offer a high level of customer service to the taxpayer. And that was something that we discussed with the sheriff and that he was behind. That one of the concerns was that we're going to be swapping out lower paid security for higher paid deputies. And one of the concerns I brought up was that when it comes to security at a facility like this, it might be 99% of the time they're going to spend maybe just walking around or sitting in one spot. And that my concern is if we're going to be paying that much, we got to make sure we're going to get as much as we can for what we're paying. And offering customer service to the public should be a priority as well. So if somebody comes in who's handicapped, who needs assistance, sheriff's deputy could get them to where they need to go. Even if people are lost, a sheriff's deputy could escort them to where they need to go in the building. Disabled vehicles in the parking lot. I mean, there's any kind of situations where, it should be the understanding of the sheriff's department that they're there to assist the public. So I would love to see something like that inserted.
And Mr. Chair?
Yeah. Yes, Mr.
So, Mr. Davidson or Commissioner Davidson, the good thing is the sheriff, even with the kind of limited personnel they have on site, does that. I have a view of the parking lot, and they are out there pretty constantly helping folks. So that I think that is the understanding. But Chairman Beck will be on the security committee that this thing calls for with the administrative district judge and the sheriff. And I think those issues we could put in the policies and procedures that will govern the personnel that's going to be on site. All of the things you talked about could be in the policies about how they're going to operate and interact with the public. They also will manage those front security folks, and we have a separate contract with that Allied Security. They'll manage and train those people, but we make sure that they have pretty good redundancy and a pretty good level of staffing at that front. It's just like you talked about, so that we don't have gaps, because we will only have for the at least immediate future, we'll only have 3 sheriff's deputies on site at any one time. So we'll need to make sure we have a pretty good presence of those Allied Security folks down front to do that front entry job.
Well, I mean, if that's the case, then I can probably give my recommendations to you to bring up when you meet with the council there.
Well, if that's satisfactory to you, I think that would be acceptable to legal and everybody else, correct?
I think the customer service is a really good idea, but I think that's more appropriate in the policies and operating versus a legal contract.
Well, and
It's hard to hold somebody legally, I think,
exactly. And
down to
I
some
do
level.
believe that Sheriff Bartlett has customer service as a high priority in all his
absolutely.
operations. And so
That's a given.
yeah, so we can certainly do that as we move forward. Okay, is there any further discussions on the agreements? May I have a motion on the agreements?
Sure, Mr. Chair, I move to approve the agreements as listed on the agenda and authorize the chair to sign the appropriate documents on behalf of the board.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there further discussion from the board? If not, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. We are approved the agreements, and we are now in recess.
the record.
Good morning. Today is Tuesday, February the 9th. The time is, 9:45, 46. Board of Commissioners sitting as the Board of Emergency Medical Services District is in session to conduct its weekly open business meeting. Just a reminder, if you're on WebEx, please mute your microphones when you're not speaking. All three commissioners are present. All also with us are
Heather
Heather.
County Prosecutor's Office.
and Ammon, and
And the other prosecutor.
we have a couple guests here, Dan and
Jeff Bauer.
Jeff Bauer. Okay. You're for the next meeting though. Right. Okay. Madam Clerk, are there changes to the agenda?
No, they're not.
We have the Claims Journal up. I will entertain a motion on the Claims Journal.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I move to authorize payment of claims as listed on the Claims Journal dated February 5th, 2021 regarding EMS expenditures.
May I have a second?
Second.
Is there discussion on the Claims Journal? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
We now have the minutes, approval of the minutes. May I have a motion on the minutes?
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the minutes as identified on the agenda and authorize the chair to sign the documents on behalf of the board.
I'll second that.
We have a second. Is there further discussion? Hearing no further discussion, all in favor of the minutes being approved, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Moving right along. We have agreement number 1275-2-21. Restated and amended the joint powers agreement between Ada County, the Ada County Emergency Medical Services District, the City of Boise, the City of Meridian, CUNA Rural Fire District, Eagle Fire District, and Star Fire District, Fire Protection District for the coordinated and cooperative provision of emergency medical services in Ada County. Is there any discussion regarding the agreement on today's agenda?
No, sir, but possibly Director Rain may want to say a few words. This is quite an effort in collaboration between agencies, and I think there are a few minor changes in it, but it's a good opportunity to brag about what great work you guys are doing.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, good morning. Thank you. This is an amended agreement for our Access Joint Powers Agreement. We, this year, over the summer, took some time and updated some of the language in that contract to reflect the way that we're actually doing business today. At the time when we wrote it, we weren't licensed as one agency with the State EMS Bureau, which we are now. There were some provisions in there that gave the Access Executive Board more control over bigger portions of the Ada County Ambulance Taxing District budget. And we've never actually taken any action or had any real movement in doing that. So we removed that language and just kind of cleaned up some of the other stuff just to reflect the way that we're doing business today. But all in all, it was a great process that we went through this summer, and you know, we all came to agreement, and this actually went to the Access JPA Executive Board here just about 2 weeks ago, and should be in the approval status at each agency as they all have to sign on to this agreement.
All right, I want to thank you also for our tour we had of your facility last week. It was a great tour. There's lots of things I learned anyway about your operation. It was nice to be there with you and your staff.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It was a pleasure having you guys out and showing you the place.
Okay, is there, may I have a motion on the agreements?
Okay, Mr. Chair, I move to approve the agreement as listed on the agenda and authorize the chair to sign the appropriate documents on behalf of the board.
Is there a second?
I will second.
Is there further discussion from the board? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Now, we have a discussion. Avamore request to Emergency Medical Service District.
Yes, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. So I was approached back in September, mid-September, by Avamore, the developer out there. They have actually hired the former director for Ada County Paramedics to help develop an EMS plan for the Avamore development up there. It's kind of an interesting dilemma that they have, because there are large portions of the Avamore development that are in Boise and Jim County. Currently, there is no ambulance service district that exists in either those portions of Boise or Jim County where Avamore would like to develop homes. So it's kind of a no man's land for EMS response. Historically, Ada County Paramedics has responded with Eagle Fire on a mutual aid basis, for as long as I've been at Ada County, all the way to the top of Horseshoe Bend Hill. Obviously, it doesn't happen very often, but with them developing out there, it would occur on a more frequent basis. Currently, Eagle Fire has annexed all the way to the top of Horseshoe Bend Hill in those portions of the Avamore development. So they have an obligation to respond up there. They have indicated that they would like to continue to respond with Ada County Paramedics as we do down here in Ada County. They obviously, Eagle Fire is also a member of the Access Joint Powers Agreement. Boise County is they're requiring the developer to have an EMS plan in place prior to issuing the first building permit up there. The Eagle Fire Department or Eagle Fire District went up to Boise County, I think it was just after Thanksgiving or maybe just before Thanksgiving, had a meeting with the Boise County commissioners to discuss what they were going to do up there. They did get an agreement to start building the infrastructure, so roads and pipes and electricity, that type of thing, but they have to have an EMS plan in place prior to issuing the first building permit to build a home up there. There is a plan to build a fairly large assisted living nursing home type facility on the Boise County side of that line. Currently, Boise County has an ambulance taxing district, but only on the east side of Boise County, so it doesn't include Horseshoe Bend. Horseshoe Bend has their own small volunteer basic life support ambulance service. And so not really what would be adequate to respond over there. So the developer is actually proposing that they pay membership fees. So Ada County Paramedics has a membership program for residents that they pay $75 a year. If they use the ambulance, we bill the patient's insurance, and then the rest is written off. It's a pretty common practice around the country. Certainly in Oregon is where we got the idea. We've had this program up and running for 15 or 16 years now. So the developer would like to pay that $75 a year per household in the Avamore development. So that is the 600 units that exist today on the Ada County side, and then they project a growth of 200 units per year. Their proposal is to pay that on behalf of those Avamore residents for 10 years, with their projections being that at the 10-year mark would be nearing our break-even point for responses up in the Avamore area. And obviously that's really dependent on the continued growth of housing in Ada, Jim, and Boise County. If we were to entertain this agreement with Avamore, basically we would continue to respond from our Medic 26 location, which is at Old Horseshoe Bend Road and Highway 44 there at the St. Luke's Eagle facility. That's where we would respond to Avamore from right now. With anticipated growth in the North Eagle, Hidden Springs, Cartwright Ranch area, we would look at co-locating with Eagle Fire when they build a station up at the Dry Creek Road and Highway 55 area that would put us closer to Avamore. It would probably be 10, 15 years before we would need to actually build a station in Avamore, but I know that Eagle Fire is looking at building a station up there, and we could certainly entertain moving in, doing a cooperative agreement with them for co-locating a unit when that occurs. The other part that they're asking for is for Ada County paramedics to provide first aid and CPR training for what they're calling their community watch. So they're going to have some guys, or I shouldn't say guys, but folks up there doing security that would also carry an AED and be able to provide first aid and CPR and that AED defibrillation prior to the arrival of either Eagle Fire or Ada County paramedics. So really, I've talked with Mr. Rutherford about this, about just kind of need a direction on what the board's pleasure would be on looking further into this and exploring this with the Avamore developers and getting a feel for how you would like me to proceed.
Okay.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Yes. Good morning, Sean.
Good morning.
A couple of questions here. What would be the response times before you could co-locate with Eagle Fire?
Oh, I've got that right here. At the 90th percentile, we are, let me get that map here. It would be in the 12 to 15 minute mark if that ambulance at Medic 26, there at St. Luke's Eagle was available and responding. The next closest unit would be coming out of Glenwood, our Glenwood station down by the fairgrounds. So that would add an additional probably 5 minutes on that. So, and the developers definitely aware that we don't have plans on initially moving closer. I think they're just looking to know that if they do begin building into Boise and Jim County, that an ambulance would come to them. With eventually, as that builds out up there, both on the Ada County side, because there is quite a bit of growth that they anticipate on the south side of Jim County, on the west side of Highway 55. So it's going to be quite a big development on the Ada County side also. But the response time would be about that long.
Okay, and that's well above what our industry standard is that we strive for, correct?
Yeah, and what we just approved in the Access JPA is that within city limits, we are shooting for 9 minutes and 30 seconds from dispatch to on scene, 90% of the time or better. Currently, I know that the city of Eagle does plan to annex all the way up to, I believe, the top of Horseshoe Bend Hill in the Avamore development. It looks like pretty much the entire Avamore development would eventually be annexed into the city of Eagle. So when that occurs, we would certainly have to look at moving closer, probably in concert with what Eagle Fire is anticipating doing. But we do have in our capital improvement plan a unit that is anticipated for that Dry Creek 55 area, where we could hit both Avamore, Hidden Springs, and the Cartwright Ranch area where all that development is occurring.
Okay, that was my next question actually, is the capital costs, even if we're going to co-locate with Eagle Fire. Do you have a ballpark of what our capital costs and then additional operating costs would be?
Yeah, so the capital cost is really dependent on what we build with Eagle Fire and whether they want to have us pay into that with them. We've had agreements in the past with Boise Fire where, if they build the station big enough, we basically just move in without a cost. But the for personnel costs, overhead vehicle replacement comes to a total of $682,000 for that first year. We're really looking at about $500,000 to staff the station. And that's really any new station that we would build. That includes 5 paramedic positions and 4 EMT positions is what, it takes about 9 positions to staff an ambulance 24/7.
So at 600 units at 75, what's I don't have my calculator here, what is that? I'm just trying to get at.
45,000.
Yeah, it's $45,000.
$45,000.
And so on that $75, you said per household, with the agreement that we have with other Ada County residents in that program, like you said, that's a long-term program, isn't that $75 per person, not per household?
It's per household.
Oh, it is per household. Okay, great, okay. So I just want to make sure that other Ada County residents aren't subsidizing, the Avamore project up there. So if we do move forward, I'd like an analysis of that.
We could certainly do that, Mr. Chair, Commissioner Kenyon.
You have any more questions?
Nope.
Does this, agreement, would this satisfy Boise County's, requirement for the development?
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, yes, Boise County is really just looking for a plan where they know that an ambulance would be going to those houses when they build up there, and it would suffice. I think that they are kind of looking towards Ada County helping on this because they really don't have any other resources that they can provide in that area.
Well, then as much as they're calling on us, are they going to participate any in the cost at Boise County?
Mr. Chair, that's certainly a conversation that we could have with the Boise County Commissioners. Right now, I don't believe there's any funding mechanism. It's kind of the chicken and the egg concept where they can't really form an ambulance taxing district up there because it's just bare ground right now to be able to even tax that area and be able to form an agreement. There is a state law changed as of July 1st, 2020. That does allow us to go into a contractual agreement with adjacent counties. But right now, there's no funding that would be available for that. As they build out, I believe that the county could form an ambulance taxing district in that area.
Okay. All right. Well, this is, unless there's any more discussion on this topic, we'll move on to the next one. Is there any more discussion on?
Mr. Chair?
Because we're not asked for a decision point today, right? Yes.
Just direction. You want some direction.
Sean, so I guess it's a little complicated with all the moving parts of the different jurisdictions, but is the basic gist of this that Ada County EMS would be solely responsible for ambulance service to Avamore, and then the other jurisdictions basically don't have anything to do with it?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Davidson, yes and no. I think that, we would certainly be the primary response into that area, but I don't know that that would necessarily mean that Horseshoe Bend or Gem County wouldn't come over there if needed. Gem County's nearest ambulance, they would be coming all the way through Sweeten and that area up Highway 52. Their only ambulances in Emmett proper. And the nearest ambulance on the Boise County side is coming from Horseshoe Bend. And like I said, it's a volunteer basic life support ambulance. So.
Mr. Chair, follow up. Have you examined any other models for delivering EMS services to Avamore, or even, I mean, is it even legal if they had a private ambulance that was driven by security that was on site? Is that even legal to do?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Davidson, I believe it would be legal for them to do that. They would have to go and apply for a license with the State EMS Bureau. It becomes fairly cost prohibitive for them. They would have to hire a medical director and have their staff. The reality in Avamore for probably the first 10 to 15 years is the number of responses up there will probably be under 100 a year. When that development hits, kind of the 10,000 household mark, you could probably anticipate that they'll probably see, 500 or 600 transports out of that area a year. What it really takes to fund it, to self-fund an ambulance is around 1,700 calls per year at the break-even point. So it's going to be a while before they could do it. And that's one of the issues with a private ambulance service is they're really, they need the transport revenue to be able to break even on that. So it would be difficult for them to do that unless the developer agreed to pay and basically subsidize that service.
If they get to a point where they have a small clinic on site with a doctor there, would they be able to take care of more minor calls? How do we determine that somebody should be taken to a hospital when it might be something that's not that serious? It could go to a clinic.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, Commissioner Davidson. So we do that now quite often. In fact, our transport rate hovers around 70%. So about 30% of the time, if the patient doesn't need to go to the ER, and we can direct them to a more appropriate level of care, like urgent care or an appointment with their own doctor, we certainly advise people to do that. The difficulty with some of the smaller services is they don't have necessarily the same expertise that we would have down here, just from the volume of calls that we run in our medical direction. We're able to do that and have done it for years. The transport rate from a lot of the basic life support services tends to be a little bit higher because they don't have the ability to do things like a 12-lead EKG on scene and be able to interpret it. Wake up a diabetic patient that has a low blood sugar. We have the ability to go out and start an IV, give them D50, and actually, find some food or make a sandwich for them, leave them home, that type of thing. So a lot of the smaller services just aren't going to be able to do that kind of thing. So I don't know if that answers your question, Commissioner.
And what's the LifeLight situation up there?
So currently, Air St. Luke's and LifeFlight Network will both respond up there with their helicopter. They typically, anytime that we get past probably the Shadow Valley Golf Course up there, anything on this side of that, it's more of a time savings to go by ground, believe it or not. I worked for LifeFlight for about 3.5, 4 years, and helicopter operations are just far more complex, but they would certainly respond up there if needed. The cost per transport certainly is a much different, a lot higher than a ground transport, but that is a possibility for them to respond if needed.
Okay, I think that was all the questions I had.
All right, so you're just looking for direction. You want to proceed with to develop the agreements that you mentioned?
Yes, Chair.
Mr. Chairman, yes.
Yes.
I'd go ahead and say, yes, go ahead with that analysis, but I'd like a full cost accounting, cost of services analysis, all in, everything. So again, we're making sure that the rest of Ada County residents aren't subsidizing Avamore. And then also a breakdown of, at build out, and Dan, you can probably give this to us, at build out, what percentage of the residents up there are gonna be in Ada County, Boise County, and Jim County? That'd be helpful. A total build out.
Well, and I'd agree with that. I know if we could proceed that direction. While Amon's here, I'd also like a full cost and analysis of the cost of service for the coroner's office to see how much Ada County taxpayers are subsidizing 32 counties and 2 Indian tribes. Can we do that as well?
I'm not sure that's on the agenda.
It's not, but I'm asking.
I don't know that our office would be involved in that, so.
It seems like a similar kind of question, is all.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I guess, I don't know if we can ask Avamore a question, but I guess I'd be curious, as the neighborhood, or what is the process? Do the residents of Avamore have to vote to implement this, or has this already been brought to their attention, and have you had meetings on this with the neighbors?
Actually, the agreement for the 600 in Ada County, they're in Ada County right now, and they get the service. That would be paid by us as a developer, and it would not affect the residents. They'd actually get the membership, free. We're hoping that you know, once the ambulance responds a few times, those people would value that membership. And after the 10 years, they would continue to renew it, because it's my understanding that $75 is more than what the tax assessment is per house now. So they'd be more than doubling their assessment for the ambulance service, the Ada County part. Boise County, you know, it could be a permanent thing that's paid by the HOA. Now, there's no residents in Boise County right now, so there wouldn't be any reason to address the homeowners. But the homeowners in Ada County would be getting a benefit they didn't bargain for 10 years. So.
Okay, thank you.
Well, does that give you enough direction, Sean?
Mr. Chair, I think it does. I can certainly start working on all that.
Well, I think that's what we need. Thank you. Now, you're gonna give us a COVID-19 update.
Yes, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. So we're still seeing a decline in our COVID and influenza-like illness numbers. It seems like we've kind of hit a new trough in the data charts. We continue to evaluate that on a weekly basis just to make sure that we're trending in the right direction. We continue to have good numbers of low numbers of staff out on quarantine or isolation, which I hope to continue as we get folks vaccinated. We are continuing our second vaccinations for the EMTs and paramedics. Actually, we finished that this weekend. We've been vaccinating, as of yesterday, was 15 days straight out there at Ice World. And now we're on a Monday, Friday basis for a couple weeks to be able to do first doses for the rest of the category 2 folks that we've identified. We'll be able to take a couple weeks off out there, and then we'll be doing second doses for that same group. And then our plan is to kind of keep everything in place out there at that facility, but not staff it until we get more clarification on what category 3 and category 4 look like. Initially, we had planned on being able to get some of our essential workers, city and county employees for all of the cities and the county and Ada County through the clinic. But as we went through that category 2, it became apparent last week that that was not going to expand. And so we paused that and that planning, and we'll just have to evaluate things as those categories become available to us. What I'm really hoping is that as more vaccine hits the market and is available to folks, that when we get to that point, it'll probably make more sense to have people go to the more traditional sources to get their vaccine, as opposed to coming out to Ice World. I think it'll probably be more efficient at that point, but we'll leave it all set up so that we can start right back up if needed, if that's not the case.
Are they not expanding into Albertsons and I believe it was Walmart, wasn't it?
I think so, yeah.
For the vaccinations?
Mr. Chair, that's correct. They're starting to have some of the pharmacies giving the vaccine. And so I think as we see more vaccine hit the state and more providers in the county able to give vaccines, I think it just makes a lot more sense to use those traditional sources to deliver the vaccine. We did have employees here that were able to go and get their vaccine at either St. Luke's or one of the clinics before they could come out to Ice World, just based on the allotment that we were getting out there. We were able to, last week, we determined that our second dose allocations are coming. Initially, we thought, when we got 400 doses that we would have to hold 200 as the second dose for folks. And we got clarification on this last Tuesday that our second doses are coming. So we're actually able to turn 600 doses back and put that out into that population that needs to be vaccinated out there. I know they're really focused on getting the 65 and older population vaccinated. So we're able to give that vaccine back to those folks that can deliver it.
Is there a difference in the first and the second dose? Is the second dose the same thing as the first dose? I'm just curious about that.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, it's the exact same thing. There's no difference between the first and second dose.
So that's just like a booster. The body can't take it all at one shot. Is that the idea?
Yep. Yep, exactly.
Okay. Well, thank you. Is there any questions of Director Rain?
Just thank you for your work and staff and the extra mile that they're going out there. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. We'll be in recess. Thank you.
Thank y'all. Have a good day.
You're welcome. You are on the record.
Good morning. Today is Tuesday, February the 9th. The time is 10:20. The Board of Commissioners, sitting as a board of the Avamore Community Infrastructure District Number 1, is in session to conduct its weekly open business meeting. Nobody's on WebEx, so I'll miss that. All three commissioners are present. Also with us are
Dan Richter, Avamore.
Jeff Bauer from Gibbons Pursley, legal counsel for Avamore.
Hammond Taylor, prosecutor's office.
Bruce Briscoe, operations.
Josh Brown, operations.
Tim Shit IT.
the IT guy.
Luke's not used to that.
What? He's not used to being the IT guy?
No, used to being on the record.
Oh.
He's supposed to be invisible.
Oh, okay. Well, hey, IT's never invisible. Okay. Madam Clerk, do we have any changes to the agenda?
No, we do not.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion on the claims journal.
Go ahead, Brian.
Sure. I move to authorize payment of claims on the Claims Journal dated February 5th, 2021 regarding Avamore CID expenditures.
I'll second that.
Is there discussion on the motion? There, hearing no discussion. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay. Approval of the minutes. I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the minutes as identified on the agenda and authorize the chair to sign the documents on behalf of the board.
I'll second that.
Is there a discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Community Infrastructure District. Community Infrastructure District structure. History and financing discussion. Ammon?
Yes, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. Thank you. I believe this is our first Avamore CID meeting since we have the two commissioners here.
Yes.
Commissioner Davidson and Chairman Beck. We have, I think, some things coming in terms of development in Avamore, and we thought it might be prudent to sit down with the board and just kind of go over an overview and discuss what the district is, how it's set up, kind of the history, to give you some context in order to consider some of these upcoming events. And so that's kind of the idea. So this is mostly informational. We have, as you know, Jeff Bauer here from Gibbons Pursley represents Avamore, and Dan Richter from Avamore to provide kind of that presentation. So
Sure.
With that, I will turn it over to Jeff. I know he's prepared some materials and we can go through things and answer questions and hopefully provide some useful information to help you as you move forward in this new role as the Avamore board.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ammon. Chairman and Commissioners, again, Jeff Bauer. Ammon summarized what we're doing here very well. I do want this to be interactive, so really what I've just done is try to make a framework to kind of move through time. If at any time you have a question, please interrupt me. Again, this is just to try to get you up to speed on what we've done the last 5 years and what's coming down the pipe. So first slide, this is a picture of Avamore development, all 23,000 acres of it. Out there, and the red line that you see are the county lines. So Gem County up there in the northwest, Ada to the south, and Boise to the northeast. In Ada County down there to the south, what you see kind of in the dark black are the current parcel lines of what you'd see today if you drove out past Avamore. So a pretty small portion of the overall project. You heard this from your director, Rain, a minute ago, but at full build out, we expect 9,500 to 1,000 residential units shared between the three counties in that area. We're at about 850 right now.
10,000?
10,000.
Maybe, Chair,
Yeah.
if you could give us at full build out what the percentages are in each county?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Kenyon, I heard your comment earlier and I have a note of that. I know I have it somewhere, but I can't give it to you off the top of my head.
Okay.
I can say the majority is in Ada County. I think it's about 60% Ada County, 30%, 25% Boise County, 15% Gem County. That's off the cuff. I'll get you more precise numbers.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay, and so this gets a little confusing because we say Avamore CID and we're Avamore. So I'll try to keep it separate, but you guys are the Avamore CID, we're Avamore.
Okay.
So community infrastructure districts, just a real high level overview again. 2008 Idaho legislature adopted a new act creating these types of districts. They are a special taxing district with authority to issue bonds. Specifically, they can issue 3 types of bonds. I'll go into more detail on those later, but it's a general obligation bond, a special assessment bond, and a revenue bond. The idea is that we tax folks in these districts to provide infrastructure that will serve them. It really is a tool for development to pay for itself. And I think, you know, that was part of the conversation in 2008 when it was adopted. We are limited to financing and constructing what's defined in the act as community infrastructure. And kind of generally speaking, that's going to be public roads, public parking facilities, public recreation facilities, and then water and sewer infrastructure. All right, next slide. So these are 2 pictures of just that little black area on your first map. So what we call Village 1 of Avamore. So what you see out there today. The green picture is kind of a fancy picture of it, and then on the right of that is just the assessor's map that's available online. So in 2008, Ada County Commissioners approved the Avamore Development Plan Community, which is a land use entitlement that allows us to build up to 850, 900 residential units. We're most of the way through that at this point. After we had completed phases 1 through 3 of our project, we came to the Ada County Commissioners again and said, hey, let's form a CID. This makes a lot of sense out here to do the infrastructure projects. So phases 1 through 3 are not in our CID. And this is sort of confusing sometimes to our district residents, but due to the timing issues, that area in white towards the south that you see on the assessor's map, they're not in the CID. It's just our remaining phases. CID covers approximately 900 acres of our Village 1 development.
Village 1 isn't phase 1?
That's right. So within Village 1, there's 12 phases. And I believe in November of this year, the county commissioners approved our final phase preliminary plat. So it's all preliminary platted at this point. So yeah, Village 1 is this greater area in the green there. And within that green area, 12 different phases. All right, great. Next slide. This is again just showing you the scope of the CID, the land that we currently have taxing authority over within the scheme of all of Avamore's property. It's just that green highlighted area.
And the red lines are the county lines?
What's a little confusing, the squiggly one is State Highway 55, and
Okay.
yes, the red lines are the county lines.
So this red line right here is the county line.
That's right. That's Ada County to the south, Boise County to the north.
Okay, and just so I have perspective, that rodeo arena is about right there?
Mr. Chairman, that's correct.
Oh, okay. I mentioned that to people and they're shocked. That rodeo arena is in Boise County. I go, really? It's that close to?
Yeah,
Really, they're shocked. I go, I can't believe that.
All right, next slide. So in 2015, when we formed the district, the Idaho law, the CID Act, requires a couple specific documents to be entered into. One's what we call a development agreement, and the other's a general plan. They're like all lawyers, we get into it, and so they're really long. They're multiple pages, so I'm just giving you the
You
cover
get paid
sheets.
by the word, don't you?
We get paid by the page, not
Okay.
quite the word. Yeah.
Okay.
Could have fooled me.
There you go.
But anyway, so the development agreement, you see on the right there, we'll go over this in detail probably in a later meeting when we're asking you to do a specific thing. But in general, it kind of lays out the arrangement between Avamore Development and the Avamore CID. And it does a few things. Most importantly, it talks about how we come to the board to ask for financing. We want you guys to issue a bond to pay for a project. This kind of lays out the process. It also limits the amount we can ask for. So there are limits on the tax levy that are more restrictive in this document than in the law. And I'll go over that's more in a minute. And then third, this document requires Avamore to provide notice to all prospective purchasers of property that they're in a district, and they sign a disclosure before they buy property saying that they understand they're in a district and that there's an additional tax.
Because they get the tax on our tax bill, right? The Ada County tax.
Mr. Chairman, that's correct. The levies for Avamore District are collected by the assessor just like any other tax, but then the money's funneled
Right.
over here
Funnel to the, well, yeah.
to the district, right?
How does it initially get started under Idaho law?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Davidson, what happens is, there's a couple ways, but in this case, all of the landowners, so Avamore Development, they own all that land, they come to the board of whatever jurisdiction they're in, Ada County, and they petition the county to form that district. There's a public hearing and public comment, and there's a few factors that they analyze to determine if it makes sense, and then the district's formed. They draw a boundary with a legal description, and at that point, this district's formed and has taxing authority there.
Were you the only landowner when it was formed?
Yes.
You'll see in the documents, it's a little confusing, but there's 3 different sort of Avamore entities that own the various land, but they're all controlled by Avamore. So we were the sole owner. Second document on the left, the general plan, also required by Idaho law. What the general plan does is kind of provide some guideposts on what infrastructure the district anticipates it will construct. So on the back of that document, there's just an Excel spreadsheet that says, we anticipate doing X, Y, and Z. Okay, next slide. So this slide has a picture of what's essentially Village 1, and I've tried to, in red, highlight the projects that the district has financed to date. To date, we've predominantly done collector roads and access points to the district from State Highway 55. So the signal at Avamore Drive and Highway 55, that's a district project that was financed. The major collector roads, Avamore Drive and North McLeod Way, they're district projects. And then up at the intersection of North McLeod Way and Highway 55 up there in the left, we've also had the district finance that access point as well.
Okay.
Overall, we've done about 2.5 miles of collector roads and those two intersections. On the right-hand side of that slide, you can see how the bonds have broken out. There's the general obligation bonds and the special assessment bonds. Those are the only 2 of the 3 types of bonds the district has authority to issue that have been issued. General obligation bonds are a tax on all taxable property in the district. It's functionally the same as a real property tax. It attaches to the land that Avamore still owns, the same as private property. So our HOA properties, they're assessed with the general obligation bond, etc. Again, the district development agreement caps the levy rate to service GO bonds at 0.003% or 3 mils. Again, lower than what the Idaho law would allow. And then the special assessment bonds work a little different. They're like a levy on each individual lot. So when you come to buy a house that lot has a specific dollar amount levied against it, and you can pay that down immediately or over the course of 30 years, which is the term of the assessment.
That's similar to an LID.
It's very similar to an LID, Mr. Chairman. Again, the development agreement in this case limits all of our special assessments to $4,500 per lot. One other key difference between the two types of bonds is that once the special assessment is paid down, it's over. The lot's free of that lien. The general obligation bonds we continue to issue throughout time, and they're a levy that is essentially perpetual for the duration of the district.
Okay.
All right, next slide. This is a bit in the weeds, but special assessment bonds are levied on certain areas in the district. So it's not necessarily pertinent at this point because again we've assessed all the lots at this point. But I wanted to show you this map. Over the last 5 years, we've asked for 4 specific assessment areas, and those are shown on this map. Again, we won't be coming to you for any assessment bonds in the current district anytime soon.
Okay.
Okay, next slide. This is sort of a segue into what's coming down the pipe. Up there at the North McLeod access that I showed you on the previous map, we are planning to come before the board in the very near future to ask for financing to build what we're calling an underpass. So where McLeod hits Highway 55, Avamore's proposing this underpass structure and some basically on-ramp and off-ramp type lanes to allow district residents to enter and exit Highway 55 in a safer manner at that access and to take some of the pressure off of the Avamore Drive light.
Okay.
And again, we're not asking you to do anything today on that.
That's
We're
just coming up.
Yep, hopefully at this time next week or the week after, we'll be on your agenda for that request.
Okay.
And then the next slide, you guys are well aware, based on the conversation from Director Rain, Avamore is expanding into Boise County. Right now, we're quite a ways along with our land use entitlements there, and so we think it makes sense at this point to expand the CID into the area we're developing up there, so that those costs can be shared perpetually between all of the residents that are getting all the value from these district projects. So again, not asking you to do anything today, just putting this on your radar is something we might be asking you to do very, very shortly.
Okay.
And yeah, with that, we're here for any questions you might have.
Are there any questions?
It might be,
August,
Chair.
Marty?
Yeah,
Yes.
it just might be helpful to kind of catch my fellow commissioners up if Ammon, if you wanted to just do a brief highlight of the letter, kind of, I think Commissioner Malloy and Commissioner Lachiondo had signed this letter, had some concerns and just kind of where we're at with this. I don't know if did you get the letter?
No.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, if I may. Yeah, we have on the agenda, we have a discussion that we're gonna have. We actually have an executive session that's agendized for
Okay.
today. So we certainly will have a discussion and talk about maybe some of that history, so.
All right, so I guess that means you want to go into executive session now.
Well, unless there are any other questions or comments or anything
Are
like
there any
that.
other questions or comments on, thank you, that's a good explanation.
Thank you, sir.
I'm
I have a
curious,
quick question.
Yeah.
Go ahead. So, I thought you mentioned someone about annexing into Eagle. What's the latest plan there? Because that's sort of been back and forth. If you could just give us
We are moving
update.
forward with our application. Right now, everybody we got the application ready to submit for review. Eagle's a little shorter reviewers. So we're working with staff to get that in there, and it'll take them a little time, obviously, because it's a big application. But we do intend to, or move forward with annexing all of the lands, all of Avamore.
That was my next question, is you would annex.
The Gem County, the Boise County, all of it would then go into the city of Eagle if we're successful with our annexation.
That would simplify your process quite a bit.
It's simplified a lot, you know, I mean, you can see on the map, there's one point there where there's a bubble there that we put on, and it'd be in 3 counties. Can you imagine going between 3 boards to get a project, everybody
Yeah.
want to, you'd never be able to develop that, so it's
Annexation's a good idea.
yeah, and it's always been, the intent, to either annex or to, form our own city. You know, like, in fact, at one time, we were moving kind of towards forming the city of Pearl,
That's nice.
which, you know, Pearl as a landmark was also my mother's name, so.
Oh, nice.
Earl, all right. Well, that's,
But, I mean, Eagle is, I mean, I've been through that once in my history where we did, you know, form a city, and that's, I don't wanna have, you know.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
I don't wanna do that. Eagle is our, you know,
Our neighbor.
our neighbor, and it's always been kind of since Nancy Merrill was the mayor there that we've been part of their comp plan, and our intent has always been to
how long
annex
do you
Eagle.
think that process will be until we reach a final conclusion?
Well, we're hoping that we can have it done by year end,
Oh,
or the first
okay.
part of next year. The application is ready to submit, and
Okay.
we're moving forward as
Well,
quickly
it does
as we
seem
can.
like that's a lot better action plan for you, given the convergence of the 3 counties
Yeah,
there.
absolutely.
And,
Yeah.
and you'd have,
And the other counties are all aware. I mean, we're, you know, have an application into Boise County, and have every anticipation that they're gonna approve it here shortly, but we've also let them know that we're moving forward with an annexation into Eagle, and they're rooting for us because, you know, they don't wanna have to staff up to handle all of our permitting and all of our,
Yeah.
although they're willing to do that.
sure, sure. Yeah. Well, anyway, is there any other questions?
Dan, you don't want to be the mayor of your own city of Pearl. Is that
No,
what
I don't.
I'm hearing?
Not at all.
Other duties as assigned, right?
How do you try to build support for the bond in the community?
You know, most of the folks are aware when they purchase, they are given a disclaimer that says your tax rate is gonna be X amount. You know, that up to the 3 mil levy. Obviously, it's never at 3 mil because a bond gets paid down a little, so it's up and down, you know. Before they get to sign a contract to buy a home, they have to sign that disclosure, and then at title, before they sign the final closing documents, they're given it again. And part of the district board said, could you please keep a book of everybody that signed that? So there's a book there with all of the, signed by everyone. I'd also do and I should say for quite a while, we've had a monthly meeting. On 1 month, I do from 7 till 8:30 in the morning, and I avail myself to all the homeowners. And then the next month is on the evening, from 5 to 6:30 to, you know, make it comfortable for both. And we missed a couple of months during the COVID when it was limited to just a few people, but we're back doing it again. We limited it to, well, now we can go to 50, but for a while we were keeping people at the door, letting 10 in at a time. But we try to keep residents, for those, the most active ones, you know, some of the ones that are that complain the most never come to them to ask those questions. But most of them are very, very interested, and there's, you know, we have a lot of people with a lot of time on their hands, and they like to be aware of everything that's going on all the time.
Involved, yeah.
Do you have a community newsletter, email newsletter?
We do have a newsletter that goes out, and in fact, I got a lot of comments on the last one because they weren't aware that so much was happening. You know, we're remodeling the old barn now because we're making that an activity center, and so that's going in, or the barn's being, not remodeled, but, you know, I mean, the old foundation was just stone stacked on each other. It stood for 150 years. I look at that and I'm going, how did it stand for 150 years? We're pulling the old steel siding on and making it look like it did 150 years ago.
So in general, everyone in the community knows about the upcoming development projects we wanna do.
I can't say everybody does, but it's not for lack of opportunity to know what's going on, because we certainly make it, the information available.
Well, I would expect if somebody's looking out there, they would get that information. What is this going to be? I mean, it's not just that particular. Now, but Commissioner Davidson, is a general obligation bond subject to a vote of the people out there?
I'll take that one, Mr. Chairman. I was gonna try to answer this as well, Commissioner Davidson. When we formed the district in 2015, we held that election. We held a general obligation bond election that allows this district to issue $200 million worth of bonds.
Oh, so that's already been.
In series, so the election was held, so we don't have to have any more elections to get
Up to
consensus
200
or
million.
anything like that, yep.
226.
226 million.
Oh, well, hey.
Yep, 6 more, and then, so that's on the GO bond side, and then on the special.
Was it a vote of one, or how did that?
It was a vote.
There were
so
two
that-
individuals.
That's a very, that question went before a court in CID and Eagle, and the judge basically said you had to have actual residents. So I believe we had two residents vote.
And they both agreed.
They both agreed.
That's interesting.
And then on the special assessment bonds, they're a lot like the district in general. We come to you as a board, petition you to form that assessment area and impose the assessment. And we do that as a developer before we subdivide and convey the lots. And that development agreement, it is recorded, it's of record. So when you buy a house, it's on your title policy. You can see how the district functions as well as the limits on the taxing as well.
Well, if it's the same as an LID, they can pay it off anytime they want. They don't wanna make annual payments on it, correct?
Mr. Chairman, that's true for the
Is it
for
typically
the special
required?
assessment bond.
Yeah, is it
Yes.
typically required in a transfer? Like if somebody sells their home, cause I know in a lot of LIDs, that is typical.
That is paid off?
Yeah.
No, it's not.
No, it's not required here. It just stays on record with the property until it's either paid off by the current owner or after it times out. We did 30-year terms on all those, so our earliest ones are at 25 now.
One thing, if I might add, I know it sounds like, $220-some million is a heck of a lot of money for infrastructure, but the majority of it is used for future ITD, Highway 55 improvements. Part of our thing.
And you haven't issued those bonds, I mean, you just have.
We haven't issued the
you just have
bonds,
to keep building.
but that's what it'll go towards, and we're doing the grade separated underpass on the north. We'll do one at the Avamore Drive to replace the light, and as soon as ITD warrants its time, and then we've also agreed we're going to improve the road through the canyon, and that's kind of what those bonds are, most of that bonding authority is gonna go towards is
And I should
Highway
rephrase
55.
that, we haven't issued bonds.
Right. And
We haven't asked for an issue.
Yes, okay.
And on that note too, just a little bit more background, Mr. Chairman. When the district was formed, I'm kind of going off the cuff here, but we valued it at around $10 million. And in 5 years, it's worth more like $100 million now, based on the developer's work with the residential lots. So it is moving very quickly in terms of what the debt capacity is. And so that's just something else to keep in mind, why we haven't asked for the bonds. And to Dan's point, we're just getting to the point now with this district where there is the tax base to actually issue some bonds to do some really important projects.
You do your own snow plowing up there?
Ada County Highway District does it. So, I mean, Ada County Highway District will do the bus routes, and then if it needs more, we've had the HOA take care of that.
Well, I'm saying when we had Snowmageddon, the highway district didn't come in my neighborhood.
No, they didn't come.
They didn't go to anybody's neighborhood.
The HOA paid a lot of money that winter to keep roads clear, but
Chair Beck, just a
Yes.
quick question. The prior board wanted the last request, the two requests to be separated. It was one for the GO bond and with the reimbursement. Did we go ahead and get Dan reimbursed for the $523,718,000?
The 500,000?
Oh, yeah, sorry, 500.
No, that has not happened, so.
Okay, did you guys not want to separate those out?
it's so expensive, with the expense of doing a bond, we wanted to wait and do it all in one offering.
Okay,
rather than, because, yeah, you know. I
because you've
kinda-
already expended that amount, so, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, just wanted to make sure you're okay with that.
Okay.
Right, and just to follow up, Dan was getting there, but the cost of issuance on these is high. You know, you guys have your bond counsel, there's interest, and so for the sake of just using the money as conservatively and for actual projects, we just decided to wait, come to you again with everything, so we don't duplicate those costs.
That's probably better, yeah. Do we have any more discussion before we go into executive session?
No.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, nice to meet you all.
Thank you.
Thanks,
See you.
Sam. See you soon.
Thanks, Dan.
See you, Dan.
Good, Dan?
I'm still looking for more residents to apply for your for P and Z.
Oh, good.
The two I found that were so ideal are both about 3 months short of 2 years